Okay, you're gonna have to bear with me. This one's gonna be a long one. So, I have a bunch of Bible verses that we can go over. You're a Christian and you say, I don't think we should have marriage equality because it says so in the Bible. And the ones you always quote are from the Old Testament. So we're going to cover Old Testament first. So, if you want to quote the Old Testament, let's go for it. I have to have it up on the computer because I got way too many stuff to try to remember. So first off, we got Deuteronomy 22:13. Protesting that one too. It says you should stone a woman to death if she's not a virgin on her wedding night. Next one up, Leviticus 21:18 through 21. You know what that one says? It says, oh, guess what? If you're imperfect, you should never approach the Lord's table. There was a bunch of stuff listed in the version I read, including men with crushed testicles, and even scabs. Got any of those? Don't even think about going towards the Lord's table. Deuteronomy 22:22. Adultery is punishable by death for both parties. That really sucks for some politicians now, doesn't it? Next up, Deuteronomy 22:11. You better check the tags on those fabrics. They might be blended. And, all those farmers who are doing, one field, it's got corn, maybe the next month it's got a different seed on it. We should probably get some stones and stone them to death too, Leviticus 11:7. Pigs are unclean and you shouldn't touch them. Kinda sucks for all the football lovers and bacon lovers out there now, doesn't it? Genesis 2:24. It says a man should leave his mom and dad just completely when he gets married. Sorry, mom and dad can't help you out anymore, can't come to your house and help you and do anything like that. Sucks. Genesis 38:6 through 10. You know what happens if you're a widow and your husband dies and you don't have any kids? You have to sleep with his brother so you can bear some children of that same kind of DNA. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Are we doing that still? I don't think so. Next up. I gotta stop saying next up. Deuteronomy 22:28 through 29. You know what happens if you're raped? All your rapist has to do to make everything A-okay is just pay your dad maybe like $50, and then he can marry you and never divorce you. You don't get a say in it. He raped you. He just gives your dad some money and it's all alright, right? Genesis 16 is kind of all about how a man can kind of own all of his woman's possessions, including her slaves. Numbers 31:1 through 18 is kind of all about how you can have prisoners of war and then kind of take one as your wife. I mean, even after you've killed her whole family, just give her a little bit of time to get over it and it's all going to be alright. She'll forget about that. She'll forgive you and then you could just take her as your wife. It's in there. Exodus 21:4 is really weird. I can't even explain it. It's something about the wife or prisoner of war, and then she's not allowed to go free ever. Even if she bears kids, kids can go, but she can't. She's got to stay. She's property now. Because women are property, basically, when they're a wife. Oh, and then one of the good arguments is always, we're going to allow same-sex couples to get married. What's next? Polygamy? Glad you brought that one up. You mean like all of these people I'm going to throw up on the screen? Yeah, they all had multiple wives. So that was already in the Bible. That's technically traditional marriage. And, yeah, and then men usually had wives and concubines, too. They had that. So then you're going to say to me, but those are all Old Testament verses. And then I know you're going to tell me that homosexuality is mentioned in 3 verses in the New Testament. Okay. Alright. Okay, so New Testament ones. 1 Corinthians 7:27 kind of says not to get married. Matthew 5:32 kind of says never marry a divorced woman. And these are the New Testament ones. So these they have to be your absolute end-all be-all. We gotta live like this. Yeah, James 5:14 kind of says when you're sick, never go to a doctor, just pray. So stop going to doctors, stop going to specialists. Being a sinner. 1 Corinthians 14:34 Women should never speak in church. 1 Peter 3:3. Women shouldn't fix their hair or wear any jewelry. Philemon 1:12. Always return runaway slaves if you find them. Don't help them or anything. Matthew 5:29. Gouge your eyes out if they cause you to sin, especially lust. Just gouge them out. Luke 14:33. Give away everything you own. No possessions. Just give it all away. Everything. Matthew 5:30 says, cut your hands off if they cause you to sin. Matthew 5:34. Don't swear an oath. What do we think about the Pledge of Allegiance now? Court. What if you go to court? Matthew 5:42. Never say no. Just give away everything if somebody asks for it. If somebody says, can they have something? Give it to them. So if somebody comes up to you and says, nice car, dude, can I have it? Sure. And hand him your keys. I like this one. Matthew 6:6 says never pray in public. So, I guess prayer in a public school isn't so much of a big deal now, is it? Matthew's a fun one because Matthew's got a bunch. Matthew 6:19 says stop saving your money. So I guess, if you have a kid and you're saving for its college account, you're just going to have to tell them, sorry, I can't save any more money. And that leads us into Matthew 6:34, which is stop planning for the future. Matthew 6:28 through 29 says don't wear nice clothes. Luke 14:26 kind of says to hate your family. Mark 12:18 through 27 brings up that whole, if you're a widow and you don't have kids from your marriage, you gotta have sex with your brother-in-law. And Matthew 5:39 says, if you're attacked, just don't defend yourself. Just let the person beat you to crap. So I just brought all these up just because everyone likes to quote the Bible and say why we shouldn't do things. So I expect to see a whole lot more protesting about other things. Basically, the idea is it's wonderful that you believe that. I'm a Christian, I read the Bible, I go to church, but you can't use your religion to make laws. It's the whole reason this country was set up was religious freedom. And you're still going to have your religious freedom because you're still going to have your pre-kana and the non-Catholic version of the pre-kana. Churches can still say, I don't think you guys should get married. You do that to straight couples already. So, in the Jewish religion, they can open up their book and say, hey, this is why eating non-kosher is wrong, and this is why eating bacon is wrong. It's not cool to make everybody else do that. I don't understand why you think it's cool to make everybody else follow your religion. Nobody's trying to make you believe it's okay. There are tons of things I don't like and I don't agree with, but I don't try to make everybody else live like me. It defeats the whole purpose of this country. We're not a theocracy. So, I hope this starts some discussion. So, have fun with that.